Victorious alum Elizabeth Gillies says she watched Quiet on Set with Ariana Grande and explains how it affected their perspectives as Nickelodeon stars. Nearly 5 months after the investigation Discovery documentary Quiet on Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV featured several former Nickelodeon child stars speaking out about the alleged toxic environment at the network, namely on shows involving former producer Dan Schneider. Elizabeth recounts her experience watching the docuseries with her former co-star. She tells Variety in an interview published July 16th, "I certainly reevaluated my experience with Ariana over FaceTime. We watched it together, and then we got together later that week or the next week, and we sort of broke the whole thing down and talked about it and reprocessed everything together. There was a lot to go through." Elizabeth also explains that while she didn't have what she perceived as an abusive experience during her stint on the network, it was important for her to revisit her time on Victorious through the documentary. She explains it's tricky when you look back on something incredibly positively, and then you learn a lot of information and also revisit things as an adult through a new lens that reframe the memories in your mind a little bit, or cloud them, or taint them, maybe rightfully so. So taking that time to thoughtfully look back, reassess, and reevaluate was an important thing to do, and that's something we did. While neither Gillies' character nor her experience were directly touched on during the 5-part Quiet on Set series, the documentary examined Victorious as a show that included many sexual innuendos that may have been inappropriate for child stars to be part of. Grande echoed Gillies' sentiments while opening up about the documentary series in June. She said on Penn Badgley's Podcrushed podcast,
"Obviously, my relationship to it has and is currently and has been changing. Speaking specifically about our show, I think that was something that we were convinced was like the cool thing about us, is that like we pushed the envelope with our humor, and the innuendos were like, we were told and convinced as well that it was like the cool differentiation. And I don't know, I think it just all happened so quickly, and now looking back on some of the clips, I'm like, that's damn, like, really?
Yeah.
Still, Grande emphasizes she's grateful for what Quiet on Set addressed. She said on the pod,
"I'm glad that this conversation is happening here and also in the world, because it's also just kind of a cultural shift that's happening where it's not just actors and singers and whatever. If you ask anyone who's ever worked ever, if they've ever been sort of like, you know, dealt with a boss that had a really bad ego and temper and whatever, or if they've been sexually harassed or even assaulted, or it's everywhere."
In May, Schneider sued the producers of the popular documentary, saying the series falsely implied he was a sexual abuser, noting in documents obtained by E! News that he condemned the abuse once it was discovered and, critically, was not a child sexual abuser himself. Schneider added in a statement to E! News, "There is no doubt that I was sometimes a bad leader. I am sincerely apologetic and regretful for that behavior, and I will continue to take accountability for it. I have no objection to anyone highlighting my failures as a boss, but it is wrong to mislead millions of people to the false conclusion that I was in any way involved in heinous acts like those committed by child predators." E! News previously reached out to Investigation Discovery for comment on the lawsuit on behalf of Nickelodeon, Warner Bros. Discovery, Maxim Productions, and Sony Pictures Television, but didn't hear back.